Ooh, hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Starting once again, late as usual. Hey, that's what we do. But anyway, welcome to the show. We are going to be working on some multi-purpose models tonight. I don't know how far we're going to get. I'm just going to paint until I get tired. You know, same old, make that same old caveat. Uh-oh, what is going on? All right. So, yeah, you know, I may have to take ad revenue off of my channel. It's been something I've been thinking about for a while. It really isn't doing anything. Now, to be honest with you, I was doing um, ads on my channel for one reason, and that was under the premise that if you have ads on your channel, then your videos will show up in more views, right? And the reason why I wanted my videos to show up in more views is because at the time I was covering less popular games. In fact, I would still say that I'm in that crowd of a YouTube wargaming community that covers the smaller games, and they can be hard to find. If you're looking for information on a game or whatever, it can be hard to find the smaller channels like this channel when the larger channels really kind of eat up the search bandwidth. So I thought, hey, one of the ways I could do to combat that would be to run ads on my channel, thinking that it might actually affect the search. I don't know if it does, though. I don't know if it does, and it very well might not. So I don't know what to do with that. Maybe it doesn't, and if it doesn't, then what am I doing this for? Who cares? So I've been thinking about it for a while. Maybe I should just pull all the ads off my channel and leave you guys, the guys that are viewing and the guys that are enjoying, commenting, etc. So I gotta say that right. Leave you guys to enjoy the channel without having to click off ads or anything like that, right? I don't see a dime off any of that stuff. And again, I was doing that just to increase my chances of being found when people are searching for specific information on games or anything like that. Okay, so anyway, tonight's models are these Doppel Soldners for Dorado. So here's the studio art for Doppel Soldners. It's a pretty simple color scheme on these guys, but the thing is, lots and lots of parts on these guys. Looks like they're keyed together fairly well. So even though I'm probably still going to have to go through and pin, let me make sure that I can line these up, line the pieces up with the right pieces up with the right model. One thing you guys can help me decide on is if I'm going to be gluing their helmets on or not. I'm leaning towards not, because I think they look kind of cool without their helmets, although they look kind of, it is kind of a funky, interesting look with the helmets. So let's see if this is correct. That does not look like those are that's the sword arm for this guy. And it does look like it is for that one. Okay, so let me pull you guys over here so you guys can see what I'm working on. So this guy is going to be like this and like this. And so that's his setup. That's this guy's setup. This guy gets a leg also. And then I guess you can glue bucklers on them. I don't know if I want to, though. Those are pretty cool bucklers. The helmets I'm not entirely sold on. I don't know. They're pretty cool, like walk helmet looking things, but we'll see. Anyway, while we're figuring that, oh, these are neat. These look like little spiky shoulder things. Let's clip everything off the sprues, and we'll figure this out. So you can see, based on the number of parts here, these models are going to take a little bit longer to assemble So we may not finish with them tonight. All right. So while that's going on, let's make the generic Dorado bases. So first off, let's see. I'm going to grab. That's wrong. Wrong blister. Wrong blister. Huh. Let's grab a couple of these. Okay. Now these are chronoscope bases. Interesting. See if I can find the actual Dorado round lip bases, which I seem to be having a problem doing. I could do Relic Knights ones. They're the same size. In fact, given their wider stances, might be better. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to swap them out for these purple ones. And we're going to do what I call the generic Dorado bases. Okay, so we're going to get some cork. That's what I work with. And we're going to tear off a couple of pieces. And I'm really not all that precise with this. Something like that. That's a little too big, but we'll fix it. And like that. That one's actually pretty good. That one's pretty good, right? So like this. Yeah, that one's pretty good. This one's just a hair too big. Tear that off. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I'll show you just how easily we do this. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting or what you should be painting. Tonight we're going to be working on some Doppelsoldners. And they're the perfect model to be painting based on tonight's topics, which are 3 things. We're going to talk about 3 games, 3 events, and they're all kind of related to these 2 models. Okay, so first up is I want to give a quick summary of Sagaugust, which is what happened last weekend. Sagaugust was the annual Saga tournament thrown by our very own Phil Howard. That's kind of his yearly deal. I play assistant on that one, and Phil really runs an awesome show. We had a good turnout this year for Sagaugust. All of our tables were full at Ease games in San Diego, California. So we had a full showing. We had lots and lots of Viking players, and then with the Crescent and Cross expansion that came out, Crusaders. Crusaders were a big deal this year as well. So you can see I'm just taking some school glue. This is going to take a little while to dry, so I do this step first. Just smear a little school glue on there, a little Elmer's glue. Then you stick the piece of cork on there, like that. Smush it down, like push it down pretty hard so that you can force the glue to kind of fill in the other parts of the divot here in the base, right? Like so. And then we're gonna dunk that in my my little basing sand mix, which is a mix of fine and medium grade flock. Okay, and those form up my little. These are my generic Dorado bases. I use these whenever I'm doing Dorado, and I don't have a specific base, like I don't have a Mr. Dandy base or anything like that. Okay, let's go ahead and get our pinning kit together because that's the next stage of this. So anyway, yeah, Sagaugust, good turnout, lots of Vikings, lots of, I would say, Yams Vikings, actually. Yams Vikings are a really popular faction for Saga, which is interesting because, they're probably the least historically based of the Dark Age armies represented in Saga. So just take that for what it's worth. But the reason why they're so popular is that, they're an easy, brutal play style. They've got a good, strong play style. You can run a small model count with them. So that's a bonus as well. And, it's just fun. It's fun to be playing the Vikings that are a little more like the Vikings you might see in movies or in TV than a little more accurate historical depiction of Vikings. So take that for what it's worth. That's those were really popular. Crusaders also really popular this year. Not a lot of, well, really none of the Saracen or Muslim factions represented this year. I was kind of bummed by that. So I did a Crusader army, as you guys know, on this channel for Sagaugust, and I had a lot of fun in putting that together. Wanted to thank you guys, the regular viewership of the show, that helped me come up with the scheme, helped me select the leader of that army. That was a difficult decision for me. Was trying to figure out, okay, who's going to lead this deal. But we got it done, and I thought they turned out really well. Now, unfortunately, I do play ringer for Sagaugust, so what that means is I'm not guaranteed to play that day. Not a big deal. I ended up not playing that day, and it actually kind of worked out because I had to leave early. I had a family engagement to go to, which, by the way, was not fun. It was actually kind of cool. It was a birthday party that was a superhero themed birthday party, so that was pretty cool. And I got to cosplay as Sinestro, who, aka Yellow Lantern, aka cool villain. Let's see. Is this wide enough? That might work. Let's put this one away. So right now I have to figure out. Right now I've got to. My pinning kits are all kind of jacked up right now, so I'm trying to find suitable drill bits to pin these models together. That's been a challenge lately, just finding the right size of bits, and most importantly, finding the ones with the whose ends are still sharp. Because what happens is with these drill bits, like, I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if you can. You can see that crud there. See the crud on the top of that bit? That could be super glue plus, some metal flashing, plus whatever. It just gets dried on the top, and then the two teeth at the very top dull. Here's another one. You can see that those really aren't good anymore for pinning. There, this one here's a good one, so you can see. So you can see that one's pretty good. It's missing it's got a little bit of a sharpness issue there, but otherwise it's okay. So I'm going to put that. So this might work. I also want to see if I have one. I have a third set of pins here, or pin vise stuff. Like, this works, but man, that's a big pin, and I need to pin into stuff like hands and stuff like that. That's just too big. Even though that one would work. This one looks like it's gonna work. Yeah, that one looks great. We'll use that one. Let's use that one. Let's just see how we do. I say that a lot on this show, don't I? Let's just see how we do. It's because I do a lot of improvising. But anyway, if you're just joining the show, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. Tonight, we were painting Doppel Soldners for Dorado, which looks like they're going to be a little bit more assembly than painting. That is thick, and it might work if I can keep it. If I can keep the bit straight, this would probably work fairly well. This would also work well. Given the chunkiness of these minis, I'm going to use the larger drill bit just so that I can save the smaller drill bit for more finicky stuff, like, say, Infinity or even female anima minis, that kind of stuff. All right, so let's get to work here. Let's put that in here. That means that this is significantly wider than my pin. That does mean that the pin might end up wiggling a little bit once it's in place. But as long as I can drill these in properly, it should be okay. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with the other model, not this model. I'm going to bring him in here into the view of the camera, and I'm going to pin the leg in first. Right? That's not a good join. That's a really awkward join right there. Don't really like that at all, because it's a, you know, well, that might not even need a pin, because the edges. Let's just try it. So I'm going to flatten. That little nub right there. Then I'm going to drill. Start off slow as always. Once you get a groove, you can speed up a little bit. You don't want to go too fast though, because you don't want to heat up the metal. You don't want to melt anything. This is about the right speed you should be going. And be aware of your depth as well. That's pretty good. So I got a nice channel in there. A couple of, 2 to 3 millimeters deep. That's what I want. That's gonna end up like that. Let's go ahead and glue while we can. Okay, so I'm going to take this length of paper clip and let's go ahead and stick that in there. There we go. Okay, so we'll let that dry. Let's work on the rest of this. So I always tend to work on the smaller appendages first. So this sword goes on. Just clip off a couple excess little tags and things. Based on the studio art, this stuff is gonna paint up quick enough. It's just the assembly. Lots of parts, lots of pins. If you want to talk, if you want a little more in-depth discussion on how to put together metal models, let me steer you towards one of the new podcasts for Dorado of Dice and Demons. That's put on by Miles Benjamin and his friends up there in Massachusetts. And they just recently put out a whole episode on pinning and working with metal miniatures. Now, metal miniatures are by far my favorite miniatures. I'm an old school guy. I love metal miniatures. I love the clarity of detail that they keep. I love painting the miniatures. I love working with them. They're just fantastic. But I understand that I'm old school. A lot of times it's hard plastic. These days, hard plastic is probably the most popular. Resin is also popular. Then you've got some lines that are in Restic. Like, for example, Relic Knights is in Restic. Some of the Privateer Press stuff is in Restic. Wrath of Kings by Cool Mini or Not has a formula, a Restic formula, and it might be a little bit different than the first two, but that's still Restic. Okay, so there we go. So we're going to let that pin hang out. Now we're going to ooh, that pin just popped right out. Okay. So then, ooh. So that guy goes like that, right? I think. Oh, it goes like that. Okay, so I need to drill a hole there on this dude. And you don't have to go terribly deep with this, and don't go too fast. Just, there we go. Nice and steady. Nice. I guess I should probably break out the heavier dutier pin. Heavier dutier, that is awesome. The heavier duty pins. Let's do that. Let's break out the bigger pins, because they'll be more compatible with the size of bit that we're using. So it's really just a bigger paper clip we're working with. And they're not going to wiggle around. See how that one's kind of wiggling? Let's get rid of that. We don't need that in there. Let's do this number. And this will be a much more snug fit. And we should have an overall better experience pinning this. Okay, so there we go. Nice and snug. That one just popped right in. And it shouldn't be, that one's probably not going to go anywhere. We're just going to let that dry while we work on the rest of this stuff. In fact, I'm going to replace that first pin we inserted with a bigger pin. Ooh. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, there we go. So we drilled one there. We got to drill 2 holes here into the legs. One's just going to go like that. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on this because I know I can. I know I can get away with it. And the reason why I want to go a little deeper is that because when it comes to trimming the pins, that'll make life a little easier. Then I'm going to drill into the bottom of the foot right here. See that? It's the flat part of the foot. That's nice. Pull out every now and then and have a look and see how you're. See, I'm actually kind of on the side there. That's not as nice as I thought. So I'm gonna have to be a little more careful about this angle. But there you go. Okay. And now let's go ahead and drill a hole into the top here because there we go. All right. And then finally, let's drill one in here. Again, start off slow. Once the drill grabs, should be fine. Pretty good. Okay, cool. Let's clip off a couple more lengths of pin here. One there. One there. And now we're going to glue one pin through here. Oh, come on. There we go. And one pin through the bottom of the feet. And there we go. Okay, so now let's let that dry. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pins on that model. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 on this model. Okay, so again, here's a sword hand like this. I think I want to pin the other side, so I'm going to pin through that hand right there. Now, these are the ones where you really have to be the most careful. Going through hands, going through tiny little, anytime you get these little shallow appendages, you have to be careful that your drill isn't just going to eat the piece, or you're going to end up drilling all the way through it or something like that. So go slow. Go slow and be careful. That drill cuts through this metal faster than you might think. I would actually recommend a hand drill to people that are not that used to, just use the little hand pin vise if you're not used to working with metal. It's safer. This is faster, and I work with these models all the time. Okay, so yeah, Sagaugust, really fun event. Like I said, I had to leave a little early, but the feedback I got on that event was overwhelmingly positive. Gripping Beast did a great job helping us out with prize support. We put together a little bit more prize support between Phil and myself, just to make sure that we were covered based on the large attendance that we had. And I think it worked out pretty well. I am, like I said, I'm planning on making Sagaugust, painting an army every year for Sagaugust, and I'll start either selling my other Saga armies or raffling them off for extra life, just so that I can continue to paint stuff and make that happen. All right, let's flatten that out. Drill a little hole here. I would have liked to have played, but like I said, the numbers were even. There's an even amount of attendees. We filled up all the tables that we had allotted for the event. And overall, just a really good time. I really, really like Sagaugust. And, as always, Phil does a phenomenal job putting all this together. It's great to, and I know he has a lot of fun doing it too. So it's just great to be a part of that. And it's a good day. Good day overall. So yeah, pretty stoked about that. So now that Sagaugust is over, normally we would be talking about Strategicon Gateway, but unfortunately, well, not really unfortunately, I can't attend Gateway this year. And the reason why I can't attend Gateway this year is because of the next topic that we're about to discuss. And this is the subject of the miniatures that I'm currently painting, which is Dorado. You see, that weekend, which is Labor Day weekend, is the same weekend that my friend and fellow ninja Gareth is going to be throwing a Dorado tournament at our LGS. So because there's a Dorado tournament at our LGS, I want to support that. I want to support the effort to get Dorado back on the map and get it the attention that I feel that the game so earnestly deserves. So I will be attending that tournament. So this is, I believe, a 200-point Dorado tournament, Lake Forest, California. Gareth is really running the show here. Again, I'm going to be on board as an assist / ringer, but there is a much greater likelihood that I will be playing in this event because, we don't expect that this will draw a big crowd. Um, we don't think it'll draw a big crowd, and the people who are attending could be of varying skill sets. They could probably, like, if the past Dorado tournaments we put together is any indication, pretty much everyone there is going to be brand new. But it's going to be super fun. There may only be a handful of us there, but I want to do that because I'm a big fan of Dorado. I want to support my friend, and yeah, let's just do that and have some fun. So no Strategicon Gateway for me. This is the first Strategicon I'll be missing in like 3 or 4 years, actually. So I'm a little sad about that, but at the same time, I don't know if you've kind of got the vibe from me on this show. My con presence has been kind of waning, and that's okay. Let's let the fresh blood in. There should be a pretty good turnout at Strategicon for Infinity. There should be some turnout for X-Wing. There's always a decent GW turnout there. It's a shame that I won't be there for Ninja Division, but again, I got to support my friend who we want to put Dorado back on the map. All right, so let's put all this stuff off to the side and let that stuff dry. And now let's get to putting together this dude. So with this dude, I'm going to start. So now you dry fit this into here, and that's actually a pretty good dry fit. There's really not a whole lot to be done there. I can actually just put glue on that and call it a day. So I'm going to do that. Ooh, getting a lot of glue, maybe too much glue. So let's do that. Let that glue, that dry. We'll dry fit the sword hand. Double-handed sword hands are always a pain to try to pin. They never quite do as you want them to. I'm going to trim this down significantly because so you only really need a little nub like that. It doesn't have to be much. It can just be a little nub like that and you're good to go. And that looks like that's going to work out just right. So let's do that. Put a little glue on 2 surfaces here, 2 sides. And let's just pop that into place. Okay, I'm going to hold that in place for a sec and have a sip. A little bit of a quiet evening here on Play It Painted Live. That's nice and relaxing. So yeah, Dorado, dude. Love Dorado. Glad it's coming back. Looking forward to playing some of that in the coming weeks. And again, allow me to plug Of Dice and Demons, the podcast. Okay. This is a little bit of a sloppy join there. See if I can actually get that to... Oh, there we go. That's not too bad. So let's put that in here. Hi, Mr. Pip. What's up, Tori? Hope you're feeling okay, man. It's been a long time since we saw you. All right. So I like this kind of action pose. This guy's like, for Knight, he's got a great little swing going here. Uh-oh. Pin just dropped out of his foot. Okay. Yeah, I may have to use accelerant on this torso for sure. Let's go ahead and do that. Before I do that, though, that pin back in his foot, because if you do accelerant on a model, be prepared for any and all exposed glued areas, such as pins hanging out of feet, that kind of crystallize. I should say cure, actually. Should cure and crystallize. This is just not the cleanest. There we go. Okay. So that should crystallize that dude. I'm gonna have to fill a gap there, it looks like. It's like crazy position. He's like this almost, you know? There we go. Let's just balance him out a little bit. All right. Couldn't make it Tactical Tuesday, having car problems now. Oil leak. Ow. Now I'm driving a truck. Got the truck. Sorry to hear that, man. That's a bummer. It's always, you know, always real life getting in the way. That sucks. So I feel for you. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and go with this dude. So okay, so I'm going to trim down that. Ooh, my pin did not. Seems like my glue is having a little bit of an issue drying and curing tonight. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to glue. And then I'm going to be ready with the zip kicker here. I don't like using zip kicker unless I absolutely have to. It's just kind of nauseous stuff. And I don't feel, while I feel that it will harden up the glue, I've had circumstances where it hardens up the glue, but it doesn't seem to give it much strength. It almost makes it more brittle. And I don't like that. All right, so this guy's like this. Let's cure him down like that. There we go. And he will also be in some major need of some gap filling here. Yeah. See, if I pull this apart, just put that down. If I need to pull it apart. I think the pin is too tall. So I'm going to trim that. Put more glue down. And see, I've got this crystallized, this like half cured glue on the other side of the model. It's now going to impede with me actually making contact metal to metal here. Okay, that's one of the main reasons why I do not like zip kicker. In fact, got another issue now. There we go. There. Okay. Still need to get in with some filler. It's a pretty big gap there on the Doppelsolder. Okay. Not too bad. All right, so let's fill in those gaps right now, and then we'll glue them to the base, and then we can do the priming and the painting and all that good stuff, okay? So I use plastic putty for this. You can use super glue to fill the gaps, but these are pretty big gaps. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this down. You can see it goes on a bit messy. So what you can do, take something like a Q-tip, or in my case a little tongue depressor or coffee stirrer, and just run it across the top. Okay, there. That should be okay. All right. Yeah, that should be okay. All right, let's get the other guy. He actually has a huge gap right here. I hope to make it next week, unless you guys change it on me. The plan for the main issue we're having with Tactical Tuesdays, like I mentioned to you before, it just gets so crowded that sometimes we just kind of have to pull out of that shop. It gets crowded, it gets noisy, and it's like, well, there's only a few of us playing, and we can do our shopping there. We can hang out for a little bit, but you know, it's okay. It's a good problem for that store to have so many people active on Tuesdays, and hopefully we'll get to a point where they can more comfortably accommodate everyone who wants to game, either by giving, you know, some of the other groups like GW their own night or something like that. All right. So while that's drying, we can do a couple of things. We can glue shields on, and I think we will do that. And then simultaneously, I'm going to drill holes for this guy to be here. So let's drill that hole. See how quick and dirty that is once you're just going through cork. It's really no big deal. And I'm going to glue that guy like that. Yeah, like that. So just go all the way through. No big deal. All right, cool. Let the putty dry. And now let's put these little bucklers and stuff on the models. Ooh. So I'm going to clip little bits off. Can you have about an hour to paint these guys? I guess that's not too bad, I suppose. So yeah, this guy only has one place to glue the buckler. So it's going to go like that. Let's go ahead and we're going to put glue there and on the pin at the same time to kind of speed up our process a little bit here. So that's going to go like that. And he is going to go, I can hear my cat. And he'll glue down like this. I should actually glue his other foot down too. There we go. So that's the first guy going down. So we'll let him dry over here. And let's work on the other guy. So I'm going to do the same thing. He has two little bucklers. I still have to decide if I want to put these helmets on. And right now I'm kind of against it. So let's just leave them off for now. Let's just do what we're going to do. I don't know if are these not? Yeah, let me drill a couple of notches in these bucklers just to make sure we're getting a good fit here. Gotta go real slow because these bucklers are really shallow. Okay, let's do the other one. All right. I hope that worked. Let's now glue these on. Glue there, and glue the foot. There we go. Okay. And we're gonna get it kind of works. Not the best fit, but I'm worried that these things are gonna pop off. Yeah, I'm not entirely happy about how these are fitting. There we go. And let's pop him into the base. So he's kind of running forward like this. Pretty cool position on this one. All right. Traded a bunch of GW Space Marines for a Blu-ray DVD of The Walking Dead. Cool. Yeah, I saw in your last video you were, kind of scaling back your hobby efforts a bit. I understand that. That's something I'm currently doing as well. Well, no, I'm not. I'm kind of lying. I'm trying to scale back certain things. I'm scaling back on certain activities like conventions and trying to stay away from picking up more games, but that's not working out so well. I like too many games. All right, so give those a minute to dry, and we're going to fire up the airbrush here for a bit. So I'm going to stick pretty close to the studio art in terms of, if you look at the studio art, it's really just steel, and then there's kind of like some burgundy effect on them. It's okay. I probably, I don't know. Let's just paint it and see. I may do like brass. I may do like gold because that's how I did Gus. So if Gus is gold, these guys can be gold too. That would be kind of cool. Let me get on some gloves. Where are my gloves? Am I just out of gloves? What's going on? What is going on? Looks like I am going to need to go out and buy some more gloves here at some point. All right. So yeah, Dorado, dude. I hope it comes back because I am a fan. I really do like Dorado. Gareth and Mark have been playing it lately. I need to kind of get back into it. I sold my demons, and but I'm beefing up my Westerners and my Mercs with possibly trying to sell my Lost. If I sell my Lost, then I will get into Saracens. So big plans there on the on the Dorado side. Big plans on Dorado. Cypher miniatures in general, I love painting. I love painting Cypher minis. Best metal minis ever, man. Love them. Love them. It's just so bummed that both games are kind of in a state of bad, with Anima Tactics being discontinued and Dorado not being discontinued, but just kind of in a lull, taking a back seat while Ninja works on Relic Knights and Ninja All-Stars and Super Dungeon Explorer. So, but yeah, I mean, that's to be expected though. A small company like Ninja Division with a lot of games behind its name, that's to be expected. All right, let's do some priming. We're going to do some priming. We're going to do the whole zenithal stuff. We're going to do more of a gold. So let's just rock it, dude. So let's go with the gray here. I'm going to pull this camera up a little bit so we don't get hit by, the lens doesn't get hit by overspray. Okay, so I'm going to just spray this gray primer on. Yeah, I think we're going to do gold as the main color on this. I think it would look cool. Do that. Honestly, just burned out. That can happen. That happens from time to time. And when you do burn out, that's the time to take a little break, take a little stock of where you're at, and make some decisions, make some tough calls, sell some stuff, buy some stuff. We all go through that, especially when you've been in the hobby for a very long time. Breaks are pretty normal. You come to realize, hey, every 2 or 3 years you take a break for a year and a half. It's pretty normal. All right. So pretty funny. The podcast, the Dorado podcast, was like, yeah, prime under these conditions and these conditions, and if you use an airbrush, you shouldn't be listening to this particular podcast. And I was like, but that is such a good answer for when you're in inclement weather and you can't prime outside. This is the way to do it, and it's so much nicer. You get such a better, more even prime job doing this. Ooh, there's a bit of a gap there. I don't like that. That wasn't because of the primer. That's actually because of the gap filler I'm using. All right. Cool. Cool. Okay, so that's down. So now let's give that a second to dry. I'm gonna clean up with a little alcohol. So now we're gonna do the gold scheme NMM. Okay, using the airbrush. The gold scheme is kind of cool because one, hardly anybody uses it. It uses a really cool palette. Okay, so you're going to be using like browns, ochres, and all that stuff to achieve your gold, and I think it's cool. Okay, so we're going to do that, and I think we'll be able to get a little more like a little more Holy Roman Empire look. It's a little fantastical looking because they are gold. Not a lot of people are rocking gold armor, especially not soldiers. But I think it's cool, and I want to do something a little bit different. Okay? All right. So now we're going to need to fish up some inks. Okay? And I typically start with Vallejo brown ink. If I can find it, once again. That's the challenge. I'm going to need this black ink anyway. Let's see, what else am I going to need? That's a skin wash that I do not need. Don't need that. Whoa! That was bad. Had a thing jump ship. Here's the brown ink. So I'm going to need brown ink. Then, and then I'm going to go get the colors I need from Minotaur, which is going to include Mummy. And we're going to need white at some point. We're also going to need, I can use amber. Amber's not a bad color. And this ancient bone is a really good color. Okay, so those are the colors. All right, so I'm a regular then. Yeah, you're a regular. Of course you're a regular. All right, so anyway, so we're going to give first the whole thing with a brown undercoat. So let's do that. The only thing that's going to be steel is going to be the blade. I really got to think about this. Am I doing this right? Should I be doing gold on these, or should they be steel? I can always change my mind and go steel. I don't know, man. Steel. Steel would make them match. What's his name? Georg von Holbein. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just cool looking, but is it too fancy for a doppelsolder? Is the question. And I don't have a good answer. You know what? I'm just going to paint it because it looks cool. I don't care. That's it. I just decided. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to paint it because it looks cool. I don't even care, dude. That's the spirit, right? Faker, science, fantasy, history buffs can be mad at me for doing this, but who cares? Not I. All right. So we can get this brown, layer of brown down. I kind of like this jumping sword guy. He's cool. Oh, I can do the little chainmail underneath. I can do that regular steel color. That'll look cool. Kind of offset with the gold here. Cool. All right. And while we're here, let's do the little black base coat. It may throw a little bit off on this model, but shouldn't be too bad. So I'm just going to do black on the blade and on the chainmail. So it shouldn't be that much at all. Oh, quiet kitty. Poor kitty. He's sad. He misses his daddy. Daddy's doing this whole blade thingy. And we just hit that. So you can see I'm just hitting the chainmail. There we go. That's about as easy as it gets, right? Just that. Oh, I need to do the I need to do the rock that they're standing on too. Okay, cool. It's your minis. Do what you want with them, yeah? See, I agree with that. I am doing what I want with them. I want to show off some NMM gold. And this is fun to paint stuff like this. All right, cool. Clear out this black. And it's on to the next color, which is, in this case, it is amber. Oh. Okay. So yeah, Dorado is coming back. The other reason, though, why I'm painting these miniatures, and it's one of the other reasons that we wanted to talk tonight, is because we are jumping with both feet into a game called Frostgrave. It's a game that I've talked about a couple times on the show before. Again, I love that it's a free range miniatures game. It's a fast game. It's a fun campaign mode game. We played a 3-player game the other night, and I really enjoyed it. Rolled up a brand new wizard and warband for it, and we just had a blast. It was great. All right, so here we go. So, yeah, Frostgrave. These guys are going to be awesome for Frostgrave. You can use these as knights in Frostgrave. Which should be awesome. Am I going too light on the... That's okay. We're just going to make it work. It's fine. I may have to come back in and ink again. The ink was not... I don't think this ink was dark enough. That's okay. It's again, we can always fix. Not a big deal. So I'm just dropping that prime, that zenithal highlight on the mini. There we go. Let's do it on this guy. Does look pretty metallic. Cool. Show off your skills, master. Show off your skills. This really isn't that hard to do from an airbrushing standpoint. It's just picking your light and sticking with it. You know, where the light's supposed to fall on the model. You could do this with like Age of Sigmar minis, I imagine, pretty easily because of the, you know, they're chunky and they got these big old armor plates on them too. All right. Why do I have so much, you know, a little too much amber in my airbrush? A little too much of that color. So now I'm just going to do, probably just going to do one more highlight on the gold, and then we'll spend the rest of the time just doing lighting effects on the blade before we shut off the airbrush for good. Can I use my Grey Knights in Frostgrave? Yes, you can. Bolters are kind of an issue, but probably figure out something for that. Had a guy telling me today that he wanted to use his Dark Angels for Frostgrave. So yeah, that's a thing. Really, all you need for Frostgrave, if you want to see if something works for Frostgrave, you need this for your warband. You need one wizard, so one miniature that looks like a hero / wizard. You need one that looks like an apprentice to said wizard, and then the rest can be almost anything you can imagine. So in the case of Grey Knights, you'd probably get one wizard, one apprentice, and 3 Grey Knights, and that would be your 500 gold warband for Frostgrave. All right, time to move on to Ancient Bone. This is, oh wait, not Ancient Bone, Mummy. Gotta do Mummy. This will be the next highlight on the NMM Gold. So same deal. Just going a little higher each time. You can see now it looks a little too blonde, which is why we'll have to fix it with a stronger ink wash. Not a big deal, once again. I'm just going to put the highlight down anyway, just to give me a lighting source. Okay, looking pretty good. Clean this out, and now we're going to do the grays on the swords and the piece of slate, and that's about it. That's about all she wrote. We're gonna paint this, and I'm telling you, we're gonna be done with these guys pretty quick once we get to the painting step, because the armor is like almost done, and as you can see, that's the vast majority of what these models are. They're just armored dudes. All right. So it's going to be pretty nice to be able to run this with George in Dorado. So I have another Westerner crew. Should look pretty cool. All right. So now let's break out a couple of grays. Maybe just one gray. No, let's just go with one gray. I'll go with concrete slab here. All right. So now I'm highlighting different parts of this sword. Should be pretty fun. You can see that little detail on the sword there. So wizard, sidekick, and 3 other dudes. Yeah, in the case of Grey Knights, because they're knights, Knights are more expensive soldiers, so that would be your starting crew. Frostgrave has a maximum of 10 miniatures in your warband, which is awesome. So you can never have more than 10 dudes. There's one exception to that, but again, it depends on your build. You can have 11 dudes if you pick the right stronghold. All right, cool. One last color to do. We're done, and it's just going to be a white. And we're going to use this as an extreme highlight for most of the miniature. Just going to pick a couple of points of light. Should be good to go. These are fun. They're fun miniatures. I was going to paint some more anima tonight, but I decided, hey, if we've got a Dorado tournament coming up. By the way, Tori, recommend you go to that because it's going to be very, very beginner friendly, and we'll have some armies that we're lending out. So you can show up completely empty-handed and borrow an army, play a few games, have fun, maybe even win an army or something for your efforts. So highly recommend. Plus, Dorado is just a great game, flat out. It's my opinion, it's one of the best, most complete skirmish games, fantasy skirmish games out there. So highly recommend coming and checking it out. These guys do kind of remind me of Age of Sigmar looking things. Troy Perez, has anyone in your area picked up the Lich campaign book? Wondering if there's any good stuff in that book. I don't think nobody I know has picked it up yet. I mean, I'm liking the game enough to understand that I will probably pick it up. So, yeah, it's only a matter of time before I pick it up. There we go. All right. We can bring us back in. Whoa, extreme close-up. Bring us back in, and we can do some painting. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do that, let's get a little white on the faces here. Make it easier to paint the faces. There we go. All right. Bring my Imperial Knight Titan. That might be a little out of scope. You can use any miniatures, but I don't think there's any equivalent rules in Frostgrave to cover something that big. Which day? September 6th. I believe that's a Sunday during Labor Day weekend. So yeah. Troy, if you want to drive all the way down here, also cool. Come play Dorado with us. All right. Okay. Nice. All right. So we can turn this off. Put that away. We're going to need the inks. Okay, now let's just get to the good old-fashioned painting portion of the evening. So I need this and this old drinker. I'm going to paint these pretty quick, so I'm going to do eyes and skin real quick. Then we'll move on. I would consider it if my work would ever slow down. Yeah, I hear you. Play Frostgrave with us. All right. Well, these are all pretty good. Okay. Now let's make a blonde. Let's make one of them blonde. All right. And so now we're just going to do we're going to do a really quick and dirty job on the skin and face to get all those colors out right now so that we can do this nice and fast. But yeah, Frostgrave. Today I was looking at the specialized scenarios. So far we've only played the generic scenario, which, by the way, the generic scenario is a lot like, say, scavenging in Dorado. So it's multiple objective points, and the game is a high amount of terrain, and so right out of the gate, the standard game is very, very tactical. Love that. And then I started to read the scenarios, and it got me in a much more creative mood. I started to think about, okay, well, what if we took, because the Frostgrave build and campaign system are so good and they're fairly modular, what if we started to just modify the game to include things that we like more in our skirmish, in our tabletop game? So, for example, one of the things I don't particularly like about Frostgrave is, okay, so it's got a D20 opposed die rolling system, very similar to, say, Infinity. But it would be nice if, in addition to empowering spells, what if you were able to collect something that actually helped you re-roll or plus roll dice, say a soul stone. So, and Troy kind of knows where I'm going with this. What if you had, this really rare resource, it shows up on a treasure table, and it's very hard to come by, that would give you an in-game reroll. You might be able to get 1, maybe 2 rerolls the entire game. I think that would be pretty damn cool, and it would give you another resource to manage. It would put a really cool magic item in the game. It would allow you to run with other themes. For example, me and Mark are working on a Gaia-themed Frostgrave, but you could do a Hell Dorado Frostgrave, right? You could do a plain, one of the areas in Hell is the frozen wasteland, and you could use that setting and just use the Frostgrave, the basis of the Frostgrave system on that. So there's cool stuff you could do. Like, what if you allowed Gnosis, like from Anima Tactics? What if you allowed rerolls? Um, and what if you used other games as, you just kind of mix and matched whatever mechanics you liked from one game into Frostgrave? I think that's pretty cool. One of the other things that I've heard somebody complain about with Frostgrave is, oh well, only your mage levels up. Well, the level up system is easy enough to where you could, if you wanted to play a little more group-based builds, you could easily introduce rules for leveling up your soldiers. Your apprentice would be a little bit interesting, but yeah, like if you have a favorite soldier or whatever, you could introduce rules on how to level up that soldier. And they actually show you how to increase their stats. Now, it would be far less beneficial to level up a soldier for the most part because they're not learning any new spells, and they're not, in general, they're not as powerful as the wizard or the apprentice. But yeah, again, if you wanted to do something a little more, even more like Mordheim, you could do something like that. Does Frostgrave have a downloadable rulebook? Yes, you can go to Amazon Kindle and buy purchase for download. I think it's like $12, $11 or $12 for download, but it's $17 prime for the hardcover. So I think the better value is just getting in the hardcover. Okay. And we should be able to finish up the faces here nice and quick. Once the faces are done, I can mount these models and we can paint them up. Not a whole lot left once the armor is done. It's basically just armor and detailing. Right. Let's do skin. They look cooler without the helmets. The helmets are kitschy. They're fun, like walk helmet looking things. But the models themselves, the sculpts on the faces are pretty nice. They look fierce. They look like fierce armored fighting guys. Isn't that like most fantasy miniature games? Is you need fierce looking fighty guys with like outrageously big swords and shoulder pads and all that stuff. This guy has awesome sideburns too. And he's swinging that dope claymore. This guy's kind of a badass, I won't lie. I'm gonna have to field him fairly often with my Dorado stuff too. Tori, if you like Shale Han for Wrath of Kings, you may want to look at running Immortals for Dorado. That's the Chinese faction there. They're also my favorite faction in Dorado. Not a lot of people play them, I noticed, but they're really strong. They're a really strong faction. Like I feel I don't feel I'm a great Dorado player, but I feel like I always pretty much feel like I have a good shot at winning whenever I'm playing um, Immortals, just because their playstyle makes sense to me and it's pretty versatile. Also, I've had a hard time in Dorado putting together a bad list with Immortals. I had an easy time putting a bad list together for Lost. I've also had an easy time putting a bad list together for Demons, but for Immortals, I had a hard time. My mom knows what miniatures I have, and she thinks I have way too much. Of course she does. Because you want to know why? Because you do have way too much. But that's having too many miniatures is having miniatures, you know? That's it just comes with the territory of playing these games. You're going to have too many miniatures. I don't know a single person that's into miniature wargaming that's like, "Oh yeah, that person, as long as they've been in it for say at least 2 years, you can't say that that person doesn't have too many miniatures. It just comes with the territory. You are if you ask me, you're a miniature gamer the minute somebody, either you or somebody close to you, realizes that you have too many miniatures, then it's congratulations. It's like Dune uh, when your eyes go blue on blue and everyone realizes you're a Fremen and you're riding the worm, you're riding Shai Hulud for the first time. That's this moment in miniature gaming. You are a gamer when you or somebody around you says, "Hey, guess what? You have too many miniatures." That's the telltale sign. And then you go out and you know what you do when they tell you that. Then you go out and you buy more miniatures. Of course, you're going to do that because you're like, how dare you tell me I have more miniatures? And then you feel a little sad, and so you go back and you binge on more miniatures. That's just how it goes, man. That's just what you do. I'm making light of this. Just hope you realize. It is funny though. It is funny. Okay, one highlight for Flesh, maybe two. Ah, if I could keep my bottle from falling into it. Yeah, I saw Immortals on the website. Yeah, Immortals are awesome. They're awesome. You could play the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. I really like the Bureaucrat. He's just got this crazy, crazy board control playstyle that just jacks people up. Li Tzu Sin, probably the most overtly powerful of their officers. So yeah, Immortals are pretty sick. I'm starting to really like Westerners and mercenaries as well. And then I want to at some point get I want to get my Saracens going because I think it would be cool to have a Saracens force. Okay, looks like he's a little cross-eyed, but I forgive him. I forgive him. In fact, what I'm going to do is I am going to wash, I think instead of inking, I think I'm going to wash this entire model in. No, I should ink it. Ink will give me a little bit more of a color contrast, and If I mix it with a glaze, I should have much better control over it. All right, cool. So the skin's looking pretty good. There we go. Let's go with, let's mount these guys. Dune is awesome. Now I want to watch the special edition. I love Dune. Dune is great. I I watched Dune. This is how old I am. I watched Dune in the movie theaters. 1985. I was in 5th grade. Okay, and my teacher at the time, my 3rd grade teacher, was the one that kind of got me into reading Dune. And so I'd read some of it when the movie first came out, and I was watching it with my cousin. My cousin was 16 at the time. I'm, 11 or 12. And she was having a hard time following along because she'd never been exposed to the Dune universe or whatever. Dune's a pretty complicated thing, especially if you're trying to pay attention to something in the theater. It's much different than watching it at home. So she was kind of struggling to keep up with it, which is understandable. And trying to explain to her how the spice works, how space travel works, and all that stuff, while trying to keep her focused on the movie. That was interesting. All right, let us make ourselves a little brown ink glaze wash. Okay, so here's what we're going to need. We're going to need our brown ink. We're going to need glaze medium. It just seems to... Do I want? Yeah, I guess I do want glaze medium. Just so I have a little more control. A couple drops brown ink. Maybe a couple drops water. Okay. And we're going to mix this up. Let me pull you in closer so you can see how this goes down. So we're going to mix that together, mixing our happy little wash here. It's actually a glaze again. It's a little ruddy. It's not dark enough. This is not dark enough. Okay. Let's call an audible. Let's mix in. Let's actually abandon this. I need something darker. Oh, wait. No, I can just make that darker. Let's just make that darker. We will make that darker by adding a drop of black ink to it. There we go. See if that's... There we go. That is a nice chocolate color. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And before I put it down, I'm going to pick up the excess off this model. Okay. Let's go ahead and put it down on this model. That is exactly what we were hoping for. There we go. Nice shading. Yep. See that coming down? There we go. That's looking good. All that, all the fine detail in the armor is going to pop now. Looks awesome. I mean, a lot of people would consider this like done as far as the armor is concerned. We're just going to do a couple more things to it. Looks great though. That looks great. See that? Okay. Good. Let's let him dry. Let's do his buddy. See, because it's got the glaze medium in it, I mean, I can put that, I can move this wherever I want it to be, which is just awesome. It's so much better than just using a, regular out of the pot wash that you can't control. If it gets too heavy or whatever with a regular wash, you run the risk of it drying and then spotting or leaving rings. Glazed medium is nice because you can pick it up and move it whenever you feel like it. Not whenever, but almost whenever. You got nice long open time waiting for it to dry down. But yeah, this is starting to look awesome. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to make the black wash. Similar thing, or the black glaze, I should say. Did you buy anything at the Sagaugust event on Periscope? Your feed was just. Yeah, I did actually. I bought a bunch of stuff at Sagaugust. I bought some Infinity terrain. I bought some Batman miniatures, which I'm really looking forward to. And what else did I buy? I bought some Anima minis. I bought a couple of Dorado minis. I kind of went nuts. Oh, no lie, I kind of went nuts. But I at ease they carry everything down there, and so it's very difficult to not go nuts because Batman miniatures in a store, like who has that? Nobody has that. In fact, while this next step is drying, I can probably show off a little bit of that. Let's put this glaze on the blades. There we go. And let's nice. Okay. I want to show you that. Okay, so close up on the blade here. See, I can just kind of move. I can move that glaze to where I want it. I can actually control light like that. See that? That's cool. I'll show you again on this one. So here's the blade. I'm going to put there goes the glaze going down. And so let's say I want that more concentrated at the bottom here. All I have to do is move it. And it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. See that? Nice, huh? And let's just put a little of that there. Cool. Right. Next thing I'm going to do, drop a little blonde hair down real quick. One of them will have blonde hair, the other one will have kind of blackish hair. I guess my blondie won't be that guy. That guy will have like blackish hair. This guy will be my blondie. I'm going to put that down. And while I've got that out, I'm going to paint in the base, that blonde color. You'll see what I'm doing here. This is, again, standard Dorado, my Dorado basing, which is cheap and dirty and easy to do. There we go. Okay. And we're going to do the same on this guy. Like that. These guys could be, they're probably going to be man-at-arms for my Dorado themed Frostgrave army. I'm probably going to use, what's his name? The Westerners, the guy that comes in the starter. Probably use him as a thaumaturgist, because he's like kind of he's a papist. I want that line to accentuate right there. Good. All right. Let's do the brown here. So we're going to work on the base. We're working on a bunch of stuff all at the same time. Because that's how quickly these minis can paint up. So we're going to do brown here on this guy. Okay. There we go. Trippy trick. Are you referring to the focus? There we go. It's not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. I don't think I got the eye on the other side there to really solidify the way I was hoping. Let's try it this way. Oops. Okay. So now we're going to break out some orange. We're going to work on the base a little bit more. Okay. So now let's break out. I need a bright orange like this. Just put it on the palette. You don't even thin this, because you're just gonna do a little bit of a really quick little dry brush. More like an overbrush, but because you don't wipe it all totally off, but here you go. All right, so there we go. Okay, you can see there you go. Nice. So there we go there. The same on the other guy. Again, because it's kind of like a lava type effect, you can get a little on the edge of the rock. I think that's looking pretty cool. There you go. All right, next up, now we're going to do a sepia wash on the skin. So we're almost done. You can tell. I mean, we're nearly done. Sepia wash on the skin. And then we're going to paint in there we go. Ever work with Raging Heroes minis? No, I've seen those. Never had a chance to work with them. They look pretty cool. A lot of detail on those. And those are really like pulpy, over the top looking miniatures. Cool. So yeah, I don't know. I might build a Big Trouble in Little China warband off of the bureaucrat for the Immortals for El Dorado, because I think that would be hilarious and awesome. Gotta let this stuff dry. Glaze is really, it's gonna take a little bit to dry. So now what I need to do is I need to do some really sharp edging on this. So I'm going to use foundation white. I'm going to mix that with a little bit of water. Actually, a lot of water, because foundation white is very heavy. Whoa! I just totally ruined that whole batch of foundation white. My dry brush still had too much orange on it. Didn't properly clean that. That's what I get. Let's do another batch of that. All right, here we go again. Foundation white. There we go. Add water. Might be going too fast at this point. Ah, still not the brightest white because of what's still on the brush. But let's do it. This should still suffice though. It's still fairly white. Just add another squirt. All right. It doesn't have to be pure white. Just have enough to allow me to do some edging on the miniature and still keep things fairly believable. Okay, so I'm going to just take this. I'm just going to run it across a couple edges of the mini. Like that. I'm going to run it across the edge of the blade. I still have way too much white on the brush. It's okay. You gotta be careful when you're in close doing this kind of stuff. So go super, super gentle. And just be patient. Let the detail kind of call itself out. Okay. Just stick with your whoa. See, that's a problem. Just stick with your regimen. There we go. Cool. What do you think? I know it's still wet looking, but it should look pretty good when that's dry. Do the other guy. It's most important to get that edging on the sword, because that's what makes the sword believable at the end of the day. It's that really good edge highlight there. See that? Let me focus in on that. Oh, the light's kind of washing out the effect there, but you get the picture. There it is. It's just a little too bright. Okay, pretty good. Let's re-highlight the skin. No, this is going to be awesome for Frostgrave. What about Game of Thrones minis for free? Yeah, why not? Totally do that. You could have a summoner named Daenerys, and you can have her knight Jorah Mormont. I was actually making fun of that last night because I had a female caster, a female wizard, and I had a knight, and I was like, oh, he's the friend zone knight, so he's the Jorah of the party. And it's sad, he ended up dying, like, because when you at the end of the game, anybody that died during the game, you roll on an injury table to see, you know, did they live, did they die, did they sustain an injury that permanently nerfs one of their stats, something like that. Did they get a full recovery? And I lost 4 miniatures during the game, including my apprentice. So I was sweating that apprentice roll. But the only person who ended up dying was my friend zone dude, Jorah Mormont. Okay, final things to do here. We're gonna do, let's not, do I not have enough? That's just not dark enough, is it? I want to do like a rich, like a burgundy color on the, because that's what the studio art is. It's a burgundy color. That's the complementary color. So I think I will do that. So I'm going to do carmine red, and I'm going to mix a little bit, just a little bit of dark brown into it to give it a little more of a rich crimson color. So just like one drop of that. Let's mix it up. And this is just going to form the third color. There's really not going to be much. Yeah, that's the color I want. That one right there. Like almost like a brick red. I'm just going to hit, see this little detail here. So it's just like the studio art, except instead of steel, I went gold. Dorado minis are so awesome. They really are. I mean, this is just a trooper. Seriously, that's just a trooper. That's amazing to me. That this guy, this awesome looking dude, is just a trooper. He's like, 14 points in game or something. Am I missing anything? Okay, so I got to paint that little belt, and that's about it, man. He's just about done. Okay, let's do the other guy. Lord Friend Zone. That's what we call a Jorah. Lord Friend Zone. All right. I'm also playing with the rule that if a model permanently dies as part of a warband, I can never reuse that same model in that warband. He's like unique. So in the case of one of the Anima Tactics Mikhail character dying, my self-imposed rule is that I can't field him as part of that warband ever again. So if I need to hire a new knight for that warband. So I'm going to use, I'll probably use the Reaper Knight. What's cool too is the game has a pretty sick bestiary of stuff. So you have golems, you have zombies, you have all those other, like your regular D&D stuff, right? But for Troy, like one of the things that I did was I actually went out and I picked up an alt sculpt Ramos, the old metal Ramos for Malifaux again, because I loved the model. I've always loved that model, and I was like, man, I actually have an excuse to go back and paint up a new Ramos. So I'm going to use him as an enchanter, and I'll be using Anima Tactics Gears as his as his basically his metal golems for the game. So that should be pretty awesome. Looking forward to that. So now we just have to paint in the leather for the bags and all that stuff, the little satchels that they're carrying. Their armor looks almost like more of a brass color than a gold now that the wash is starting to dry. Looks like brass. I still really like it. Yeah, this stuff didn't, this particular gold didn't come out as yellow gold as you might expect. This became more of a brass color. This guy, his armor came out pretty cool. They do kind of look like Age of Sigmar miniatures. Orcs. I don't know what that question. Like, are you asking if there are orcs in the game? I think there are like, well, if you think about the setting, it's basically was a magical city that got buried and then buried under snow and then unearthed again. So I guess you'd have orcs in there. Yeah, he looks totally wet on camera. He's too close. Let's look at this guy. Not too bad. They're just so wet and so shiny on camera. It's like the glazed medium's kind of throwing throwing off your guys' angle there. Lord of the Ring orcs. Okay. Currently I don't think you can. I don't think they have them. But people online are talking about like, who cares? Just field them as a regular human warband and give them stats. And I think that's totally fine. Like if you wanted to do elves or dwarves or orcs or whatever. Although I do think in the expansion they probably will cover other races like orcs or elves or whatever. We'll find out. Any other questions or anything? I'm just finishing up here. I feel like I really didn't do much on these models. It's a pretty simple paint job. Mostly just the lighting effects and some washing. Not a whole lot going on with these minis. Yeah, I may have to throw these guys in my next Frostgrave warband. They're looking pretty cool. Maybe I can field, like I was saying, Francisco Vargas as a thaumaturgist. He's basically like a cleric. There you go. All right, let's I guess I could do a really quick wash on the browns of the satchels and the brown hair. Let's do that. Just give it a quick extra little shadow here. But yeah, these guys painted up fast, man. And we had to do all that pinning at the start of the show too. I do feel like this one in particular needs a little more yellow to him, but he's okay. He's okay. He looks a little, they look a little more brass than gold. That doesn't really bother me though. All right. But yeah, let me start putting some stuff away. Then we'll do a little close up here. I will not do any photography on these tonight because the glaze is going to probably dry overnight. And I may very well look at these tomorrow and go, oh, I need to do another dry brush or another edge highlighter or whatever. That's entirely possible. That's happened recently with one of the anima minis I was painting. What about Sucker Punch Female Crew for Frostgrave? Yeah, yeah, because we're using anima minis, we do use some of the like the kind of cheesecake style anime over the top. It just doesn't look good on camera, does he? Which is crazy because to me, he looks pretty badass here in person. He looks kind of boring on camera. I think he looks a little washed out on camera. This guy also looks kind of washed out on camera. What if I just tone the light down a bit? There we go. If I tone the light down a little bit, you can see him a little bit better. It also doesn't hurt my hand, and the background is very similar to the color. So yeah, they look fun. I'm looking forward to playing these guys. So yeah, I guess that's gonna do it, guys. Nice quiet evening. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know in the comments. I will probably be doing a little bit more Periscope later in the week, but we'll see. And if you're not following me on Periscope, you may want to check that out because it's a lot of like just impromptu stuff going on there. So I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. Again, let me reload one more time, see if there's any questions or anything like that. I think we're doing okay. Yeah. So nice quiet evening. If you haven't checked out Frostgrave, please do so. Check out Dorado. And let me plug the guys again of Dice and Demons. Check out their podcast. It's all Dorado based, and they're good guys. Miles and crew. I've been enjoying that podcast so far. So looking forward to hearing more from those guys. Anyway, once again, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.